Okay, so it's been about 2.5 hours, I think. What time is it? It's 3:25, and yeah, 2.5 hours. So it's been about 2.5 hours, and I've got the store implemented. So it's up and it's kicking, and I thought what I'd do is just kind of go through all of this and sort of show off how this works. Now what we have here, you'll notice that right now I've got no pantsu, and with no pantsu I can't buy anything. So if I come up here and try to take if I try to get the physical glove, I cannot get the physical glove. I cannot get the spirit glove. The physical glove costs 10 pantsu, and these are alterable. Hold on. Excuse me. God, pollen, I swear it's killing me. But we have the prices of the physical and spirit gloves up here, and you can't buy them until you have the money, and it will deduct the money. So we'll start off. First of all, let me kick the scale value up to 1.2. So we'll kick the scale value up to 1.2, which will allow me to demonstrate a little bit faster. And now, as I click through and I go through one enemy and I collect some pantsu, and 2 and 3, and now as we finish the 4th enemy, on the 5th enemy we now have a value of over 2 panties. So we're going to collect 2 pantsu there, and we're going to collect 2 more. And 2 more. Now we're up to 3.5, but we've got 10 pantsu. Now we still can't get the spirit. We still can't get any of the panty, but we can buy the physical. And when we buy the physical, we can now turn it off and on all we want, because it's already been purchased. So if I continue here, let me verify something. And we've got 18. If I turn that off and back on, yeah, it doesn't charge me again. Okay. So now we've got, we're sitting here and we're messing with the yandere. Now we can turn on the spirit glove. And you can see that now we are doing damage over time to the yandere check. But more importantly, we can now afford to buy some panty. And we can buy the pink one, and you'll see that comes up here as the pink potion, and it increases our click value to 2. 102, 108, 114, 120, and now we can buy more panty, because that scales, that goes up as you buy them. It becomes more and more expensive. And you can see now I'm just flying through these guys. Now I can afford. Man, that is going up way too fast at this point. Kick that in. Yeah, that's yeah, that's a little bit faster than I want things to be going in this game. Where yeah, this is too fast. We don't want this to be going quite so. Wow, that's holy shit. Yeah, that's not so great there. That's yeah. We're already we've got like hundreds of billions at this point. We're just hammered right through all of this shit. Yeah, let's reset that. You see now, once again, we're back to can't get the. Yeah, so I've got some balancing to do, obviously, and I'm gonna have to figure out how exactly I want that to work. But for the moment, what I thought I would do is I thought I would go through and just kind of identify how everything works. Basically, let's just walk through the entire source code that we've got running, because we've only got the one script here. If you look under, if you look over here under the various nodes in the scene, you can see that I've got a tremendous number of signals defined, but over here, the script, we've only got the one script. Toggle visibility, node has one connections, yeah. But you can see here that when we collapse everything, we've only got the one script. There are no other scripts in here. There's a whole bunch of signals, but there are no scripts. And there's a basic pattern here, which is all of the spin boxes, all of the various spin boxes here are connected to a signal. And you can see if we go over here to the node that whenever they're changed, we toss up a signal. And the same thing when we have a button, we check whether it's pressed. Whenever it's pressed, we fire an event. So we've got all of these spin boxes and all of these buttons, which is not a tremendous number of buttons. And then we have these line edit controls. Now the line edit controls are all read only, and the only thing I do is output data to them. I don't really pull that data in. I just output to that particular piece of the system. And then up here, the check boxes, we've got a notification on the toggle. And that's really all that's being done in here. And then we've got on the reset button pressed, we reset everything. So that's how everything's wired up in terms of events. And that pattern holds true. It's like if you click absolutely any spin box, you see right here, I've got a value change signal and it's connected up to on scale mob value changed. And then if you come over here and you look at this line edit, that's not hooked up to anything. It doesn't have any signals on it. And this progress bar here, again, we don't have any signals on it, but this button here, on pressed. Same thing with the check boxes. The check boxes are toggled. The buttons have an on pressed, and that's it. You know, we really don't have a whole lot being done in the editor, and I've put the information into the editor for like the defaults, but none of what I've got in the editor matters. That's all actually being done in my code because I'm really militant about this. I do not like anything that matters not to be in the code. I want it to be in the code, okay? And the one exception that I make is mapping up signals, because mapping signals from the editor actually makes it easier to track where things are happening. But let's talk a little bit about how all this works. We're using the Gato namespace. We're using the system namespace. This is just the default. I haven't added anything else up here. And in the same way, this is just the class name that's automatically generated. It derives from control, and that's it. So we come down here, and the first thing I've got, I have this Boolean variable boss mode. Boss mode is false if you're not fighting a boss, and true when you are fighting a boss. This is a bad implementation. I shouldn't be doing it this way. There should be a different way of handling that, but I did it quick and dirty just to test this out, because I'm not sure whether I want bosses in the game. Then we've got right bot, right glove, left bot, and left glove, followed by price right and price left. Now these are all about the gloves. We have a Boolean for whether I've already bought the right glove. If I've already bought the right glove, then I don't want to be charged for it if I turn it off and back on again. And right glove just tracks whether the right glove is on. It's the same with left bought and left glove. They work the same way. And then we've got the price of the right glove, which is 10, and the price of the left glove, which is 50. Then I've got a count of the number of potions that I've got. The pink, blue, green, yellow, and purple potions. Then there are pink, blue, green, yellow, and purple rings. I have not implemented rings yet. Rings are being implemented in the next segment. That's a placeholder for how the prestige system works and how the special panties work. That's also with the purple potion and the purple ring. Basically, the pink potion or ring will double the amount of damage you do to the Pantsugami on a click. That's the girl in the middle there, Pantsugami. Japanese panty spirits. Man, there's a lot of stuff I need to go over here that I haven't gone over yet. But yeah, the pink potion and ring are how much damage you do when you click. The blue potion and ring are how much damage over time you're doing. The green potion and ring decrease the health of the mobs. So the girl in the middle of the screen will have half as much health if you get a green potion. Similarly, the yellow potion doubles the number of panties they drop, and the purple potion doubles the amount of special panties they drop. We don't have special panties yet, but we're going to have them in the future. That's the next thing I'm implementing, which is the prestige system. Now, all of this is just variables right now. And then we've got the base health, which is how much health your mobs have. It's currently set to 10. The base value, which is how many panties they drop, and that's 1. The base click value, how much damage does one click do? Does 1 point. How much spirit damage do you do, which is the left glove, damage over time, 1 per second. Now, the scaling of mobs, the way this works is, this is exponentiated. So the mob scaling factor is exponentiated to the number of mobs. So if this is your first mob, it's the health of the mob, the base health 10, multiplied by 1.03 to the exponent of 0, which is 1. That's the identity function. And then the second mob, you multiply by 1.03. The third, you multiply by 1.03 squared. The fourth by 1.03 cubed, so on and so forth. This is all exponentiated. So on your scale right here, your scale mob, your scale level, your scale value, the mob is scaling the mobs based on the number of mobs you faced. Scale level is based on the number of bosses you've faced, which is currently I'm tracking that manually. I should really be doing that differently, but I'm not yet. I will do it differently later. And then there's scale value, which is how fast the scale of panties goes up. Now, I'm going to jack these up somewhat. So, because I think scaling the mob and the level by 1.05 and 1.07, along with scaling the panty value by 1.1, I think that'll work out better. Then you have the current level, which is set to 0 because we haven't done anything. These are all just the defaults, okay? And these defaults, I manually set those later on. I put the defaults in the declaration so that I can easily see them when I come in and do this. But I'm also going to have to do them down in set defaults. You have to change them in both places. This is a bad implementation, I told you. Then we've got the current level, the current enemy, which is the count of enemies, the current click value, which is what your clicks are multiplied by. Your spirit value multiplies your spirit. The weaken value divides enemy health. The drop multiplies panties. The special multiplies special panties. And then you've got the current health of the current enemy and the current value, which is how much the enemy's currently worth in terms of panties. The number of panties that you're currently carrying, and then we've got the tracking values for health and panties that actually include the decimal, so you could see that mounting up even when they're not reflected in the interface. Then we have the default prices of all of the potions. This has all just been added. The price, the base, the scaling of the price. The same with the blue, the green, the yellow, the purple, and all of that. And then when you get down here, the next thing that I do is I declare all of the different controls. This is all of the controls that are all over this screen here. I've defined variables for all of them, so I've got those controls around. I don't want to be grabbing them dynamically all the time. I don't dynamically create and remove controls, so I just prefer to keep them all around and just know that they're there. So there's a whole bunch of those. There's, I think, 60, something like that. But anyway, when we first enter the scene tree, the first thing that we do is, I don't need the temp here, do I? The first thing that I do is I grab all of those controls. And we've got 4, 9, 14, 21, 24, 27, 30, 34, 37, 40, 43, 46, 49, 52, 54. 54. And, yeah, 54 controls. That's a lot. And then we've got the recalculation. Everything that is calculated gets recalculated here, so all of the dependencies are handled, okay? And we do all of the rounding, and we calculate the floor, and all of that sort of thing. And you have here, you see that track health doesn't do a floor, neither does track value, but everything else does, okay? The current health is floored, the current value is floored, and that just trims off the decimal part of the number. Then you get over to your defaults. And here in the defaults, I set up all of the defaults for everything, which we've already talked about all of that. But I need to change those and set them back where they belong. And here are the base prices and the scaling factors for all of the various stuff in the stores. And then you get to redisplay. Redisplay accesses all of those controls and sets all of the various text elements to what they need to be. And it also goes through and sets up the values of all the various other things. And then in here what we've got is we've got the scan store. Scan store enables and disables buttons. So, for example, the right glove control is disabled if you have not bought the right glove and you don't have enough pantsu to afford it, then the control is automatically disabled. The same thing with the left one, and then we do the same thing with all of the buttons in the store. We disable them when you can't afford them, and yeah, they're disabled when you can't afford them. They're enabled when you can't afford them. And then we've got damage mob. Damage mob, this is probably the most complex part of the code here, is the handling of mobs, okay? And before I go into this, I want to jump down here and I want to talk about all of these various handlers. Now, when the reset button is pressed, all I do is call defaults. And when I call defaults, you'll see in here that that when I do the defaults, at the end of doing all the defaults, and I recalculate everything that's derived, then I redisplay, and then I call new enemy. And new enemy creates a brand new enemy without incrementing or changing anything. So new enemy is down here. And when we start off with the new enemy, what we do is we figure out whether we're in boss mode, which is by checking whether we're on a multiple of 11. This is a terrible way to do this. I should be doing this better, but this is how I'm doing it right now. And I turn on boss mode and I multiply the boss's health by 10 if we're supposed to be in boss mode. Otherwise, I turn boss mode to false and make sure it's false. I do this a lot. I force things off even when they should already be off, just so I know where they are. it doesn't take a lot of time, and it prevents a whole lot of bugs. So we turn on the boss mode control, which is, if you look over here, we've got this label over here, boss mode, which is by default invisible. But when it comes on, it just says Yandere. But we turn that on or off based on the value of boss mode. Okay? And then we get the text for the health control, and we get the text for the value control, which are these two right here. They are not floored or truncated. And then we set up the mob health bar. We set up the max value to be the current health. We set up the current value to be the max value. And then we set the text to the current value. And that's all there is to creating a new enemy, is just initializing everything, figure out if we're in boss mode, alter the health if we need to, turn on the boss mode control if we have to, and manage the health control and the value control. Just initialize all of that stuff. Then we have the code for when you toggle the right glove. If the glove is being toggled on and you have not bought the right glove, if you have enough money, then you buy it. And if not, then you don't do anything. Because you may be turning it on, even though you may be turning it on again after having turned it off previously. And then we go down to redisplay to update everything. And then we do the exact same thing on the left one. We just check whether you can afford it, and we subtract it, turn on that you bought it. And once you bought it, you've bought it. You're done. Then we have the value change for the price of the right and the price of the left. And then we have all of the various spin boxes. All of these are really very simple. I just set the appropriate variable to the correct value, and then I recalc and redisplay. That's all there is to it. I do that in all of these handlers. All I do is map them to an internal variable, recalc and redisplay. And when we get down here to the 5 items in the store, okay? You get down to the 5 items in the store, we check whether you can afford them, and we charge you for them, and we increment the appropriate counter. And that, again, it's the same basic thing, you know? And then when we get down here to when the mob display is pressed, when you actually click the button that shows the mob, then if your right glove is enabled, then we damage the mob based on the complete value of all of your upgrades. But if you've taken the glove off, then you can't upgrade your clicks, so you just do the base click damage. And if we're in boss mode, every time you click the boss, you get regular panties. There's huge money in the boss. Now, I may want to alter this somewhat. And then we have an update there for the pantsu control. This is bad. This right here, this is not the way you should be doing this. And then I scan the store again because we're altering this. The boss mode thing is really badly implemented. I understand that it's badly implemented, but here it is. And then finally we have process, which is called all the time. If you have the left glove on, then we damage the mob based on your current spirit power, multiplied by the delta in seconds. This floating point here, delta, that's the number of seconds as a fraction. It's been about 1/60th of a second, maybe less, maybe a little more. So you want to multiply your damage per second by the delta and apply it with a damage mob call. Now let's back up to damage mob again, which is up here around 300 or 400, somewhere around there. Yeah, there we go. So you come up here to damage mob, and these are the last 2 things that we need to go over here. The first one is that when we damage the mob, we pass in how much we're damaging it, And the first thing we do is we reduce the health value and check whether it's less than or equal to 0. If it is, then we kill the enemy. And if it's not, then we update the health bar's value, and upon updating the health bar's value, we increase the health bar value. We increase that value to the ceiling of the health value. We round it up, and then we put that in the text. So the health bar is always not quite 1.0 less than the health text. The health text always says the enemy has a little bit more health than it actually has, unless it's an exact integer value, which like never happens. But once that drops down to 0, then we have the kill enemy call. And the kill enemy call has the enemy check in here, and the enemy check determines whether we're at a level boundary. Okay? And if we are at a level boundary, then we take the current enemy, we increment the current enemy, we check whether we're at a multiple of 11, and if the multiple of 11 is 0, then we increment the current level. And incrementing the level mostly matters because we have 2 exponents built into mob health. We have one for the number of enemies, which is 1.05, as I've just changed the default, and the other is 1.07 for levels. And then we have, if you're not in boss mode, Kurpantsu is plus equals the current value. And we're going to put an else in there. And this is going to be drop special Pantsu. Now, I don't know how I'm going to implement the special Pantsu. It's going to be a mess. I just know it. Because I know how I want this to work, but I don't know how to do it elegantly just yet. So I'm going to be kind of figuring that out as I go. And I'll explain how I want the prestige system to work in the next video. This one is very nearly done. But that's where we drop the special panties. And we've now gone through everything here. Most of this is boilerplate. It's the same thing over and over again. And that is, in fact, how most programming works. You do a tremendous amount of housekeeping, you do a whole bunch of boring shit, and you try not to forget anything. That's really all there is to it. And if you can manage not to forget anything and not to get anything wrong, which happens more frequently than anybody likes to admit, then you end up with something that actually kind of sort of works. And you can see that that all of this in here is all of this is fitting together and working, and we have a working game at this point. It's playable. You can actually play the game at this juncture. So yeah, let me jump over here. Remember to save, and remember to recompile. And there we go. And you can see right here, we've got the new enemy scale and level in there. They're not in here. They're not in the editor. You can see that the scale enemy is still 1.03. The scale level is still 1.05. The scale value is still 1.02. But the code is what matters. The code overrides it. This is an attention to detail thing, because I don't want to leave that the way it is. Basically, I want to reflect the actual defaults in the editor as well. So I'm going to put those in there, even though, you know, it's not something that is really necessary. The code is always going to override what's in the editor, but I like to keep everything synchronized. And I get really kind of militant about that, making sure that gets done. And that's important. Being that detail-oriented and being that focused on how stuff fits together That's important. So anyway, let's come on in here and we'll have a look at how everything fits together. Now, you got your mob here in the middle, and when we click on this, we get mob pressed. And we got our base click of 1, which is all we're doing because that's our physical clicking. We don't have the right glove on. It's kind of confusing because the right glove is listed on the left. I call them right and left, although they're actually named physical and spirit. So now we've gone up to 2 pairs of panties. Now I can afford the physical glove, so I'll go ahead and buy that, which doesn't actually do anything yet. But now I can buy the spirit glove, and I can just sit here and I can watch it decrease. But you'll notice that because I'm not clicking on the yandere, I'm not making any panties from her. I only collect panties when I click specifically. I have to click to get the panties. If I don't click, I don't get them. Now I can afford some panty. I'm going to save up. I'm going to save up. I'm going to get an upgrade to spirit instead. Because this is one of the many things that I do in games like this, is I just skip some of the early upgrades. And by skipping early upgrades, you could frequently afford later upgrades sooner. Now, in this particular case, I would be going a lot faster if I had actually bought that upgrade. But instead, I'm going to focus on keeping my... I'm going to focus on getting my spirit power up. Let's see how things are going here. The enemy, 22. 23. Yeah, so we're about halfway through the 3rd level. We are not quite in a position. We're not doing incredibly, unbelievably well here. I think I want to do something other than at this point we are now doing better with spirit than we are with clicking, so that's not important anymore. Yeah, that goes awfully fast. I'm not loving this. This progression needs to be a what do I need to do here? Yeah, we're basically. Yeah, this has gotten out of hand. I definitely need to. God, I can just click on that for. Yeah, that's not. I need to do something about this. This is ridiculous. There's a lot of stuff to be worked on here, and what I'm mostly interested in right now is having a driver that I can use to actually test this and like see how things work. And as you can see, yeah, we it's gotten entirely out of hand. We've got 65 zeros. Yeah, we got 87 now. 94. And we're going over a Google at this point. Yep, we've got a Google. We've got two Google. Oh yeah, I've managed to reduce. I've managed to reduce the health far enough. Yeah, this is definitely something that you want to watch out for. This game is not even remotely balanced. Yeah, this is not gonna work. Yeah, we're just cranking through at this point. Holy crap! Yeah, we're just I think I think maybe this is not going to work. Yeah, let's reset there. Anyway, we've gone through all of that. Okay, it's fun, but I don't think I'm going to be selling any premium currency. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we'll take a look at this a little bit later on. I want to implement the prestige system and start thinking about that before. I want to start thinking about the prestige system and get that implemented before I worry too much about how to balance this and how that's going to look. So, yeah, there that is, and I'm gonna go get started on the prestige system and just ignore the general bug of, holy crap, this, yeah, okay, yeah, that's fun.